Okay, hello everyone. This is the best book I've read in ages. Um, and that's because it's changed my opinion about a few things and it's made me do a lot of things which have actually already made an improvement to my life as far as I can tell. Um, anyway, the other thing about this book. So this is a book I just picked up browsing a bookstore, which is so much better than just going online or looking at suggestions, because if you go online well, I don't go online to look at books unless I've already got a book in mind, because there's too much choice and you waste too much time. Endless choice is not a good thing. It never has been. Um, so I found this just, what was it? I think it was in Foils. Um, Willpower. The book is called Why Self-Control is the Secret to Success, and it's by these two guys who are Roy F. Baumeister and John Tierney. Incredible book. First of all, let me give you a bit of background on what I thought of willpower. I thought willpower was just a joke because I always thought willpower was fighting against your natural tendencies, and was of the opinion that your natural tendencies will always win out. Now, your natural tendencies, maybe that's not the best word for them, your natural tendencies should be called what you actually want to do. But I always believed you can change what you want to do um, through inspiration or obsession. So you can probably all think back to something you did in your life that you thought, how the hell did I do that? Or something you wanted to do and you thought that's impossible, but you still got it done because you were obsessed with getting it done, or you were really motivated to get it done. Which brings us on to motivation, which I always thought was great. You know, you can motivate yourself to do things, but that's ignoring the factor of consistency. Nobody can be motivated consistently. Um, so a lot of people talk about having your goal always in front of you, which I guess is sort of reminding yourself, always obsessing over it. And you have to do the things to achieve your goal, if that's what you want, consistently. Motivation, forgotten how to speak, it's the sun. Motivation is never consistent. It's more like a flash in the pan. But if you're adequately motivated, sure, you can do incredible things for a short time. And if they're incredible enough, they might make a difference. Like the time when I lost 10 kilos in 8 weeks. That wasn't really about motivation, it was just easy to do. I'd reached a point where I was so disgusted at being overweight or fatter than I wanted to be and worried about getting diabetes. So, back to the book. I now believe in willpower. I actually think it's incredibly powerful. Um, and we got the definition out of the way. Willpower is self control, being able to control yourself. And that, according to all the studies cited in this book, which are convincing, they're actual scientific studies rather than studies funded by corporations or, you know, the health industry or something like that. Willpower, defined as self-control, works. The book always talks about how to have self-control. Um, Also talks about why diets tend to fail. I just mentioned diets, didn't I? And a lot of people I know would be of the opinion that fat people have no willpower, they're not disciplined. But actually, there's a difference there, because when you're dieting, you're fighting your body, you're fighting your human nature. So it's very, very difficult to beat that with discipline. You know, nature always trumps nurture there. And an example they use is Oprah Winfrey, who's apparently incredibly disciplined and has achieved so much in her life, but struggles to control her weight. So there's no one characteristic. Usually in everything, there's no one thing that can help you make a universal judgment. You know, that would be the basis of racism. You know, so oh, they're brown, so they're such and such, or they're Palestinian, so they're terrorists, or they're Israeli, so they're terrorists. It probably does apply to the majority of the latter. Um, but anyway, what has changed, or what have I changed after reading the book? Um, I write a lot, but I haven't written for a long time, so I haven't been writing a lot. And one of the things that this book talks about is procrastination. Procrastination is doing as much of anything else as possible other than what you're meant to be doing. There's a good quote in here: there is no limit to the work that a man can get done as long as it's not the work that he's meant to be doing. Something like that, but that sums it up nicely. So the trick in the book is to set aside a certain amount of time, set aside the job that needs doing, and only do that job. You're only allowed to do that job. You're not allowed to do anything else. So if you're not going to do that job, you're just sitting there doing nothing. So I call it the task or nothing. And it definitely works. I've done just 25 minutes every morning. I set the timer on my laptop and I work on my book. And I've got more of it done in the last 3 days doing that than I had done in the last couple of months. So that's a great trick. Maybe I'd just give you some, not the tricks, the tips, the ideas from this book, because there's so much that's changed. Exercising self-control through simple things like I always walk with a better posture and stand with a better posture now, because that was something that was shown in one of the studies that actually led to better performance and other things. Using up your ability to make decisions actually tires you out. So one of the things I realized is I wake up every morning full of energy, super positive, getting everything done, not pausing, not worrying, not being annoyed or anything. But by the evening, I'm super, angry, aggressive. I'll say things like, oh God, I wish I could just go to sleep and never have to wake up again. And stuff that is just not positive or helpful. It's actually harmful. But actually, the world has not changed between 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. Of course it hasn't. All that's changed is that I'm fatigued, psychologically fatigued. So I experiment with taking little naps. And it works. It really works. Now I have 2 really good mornings every day instead of a good morning that deteriorates into a dreadful evening. Some of the other stuff, what else have I done? Monitoring. Monitoring allows you to control things. So I didn't used to, but now I weigh myself every day. And I don't expect to see a change daily. It'd be stupid to do that. But I am made aware every morning. I'm reminded by the little needle on the scale that I'm a certain weight and I want to be a certain weight. So it just kind of sets that intention. You need to lift the door at the same time to open it. Actually, it's not going to work like that. Yeah. So like that, lift it up, pull it. Pull it down with one hand. Put the other hand underneath the handle, push it up a bit, and now pull it. There you go. No problem. So mechanics, okay. Why do prisoners? I know the idea is that all prisoners go to prison and come out super muscular, because that's what the influencers who are telling you about their magic prison workout want you to believe. But actually, look at the stats. Most prisoners gain a lot of weight. It's not because prison food is delicious and the portions are huge. It's because they wear loose-fitting clothing. So they're not aware of their waistband getting tighter. So monitor how your waistband feels. It will help you to control your weight. The other thing is, when you've got a job to do and you're meant to be focusing on it, let's say your part of your job means you have to contact, I don't know, so many people a day, outreach, phone calls or whatever. Put a mirror on the desk, and that way if you slack off, you can see yourself slacking off. And if you have any desire to actually get the job done, seeing yourself slacking off will stop you from slacking off. You look and you think, who's that lazy? But oh no, that kind of thing. This has been shown in experiments where children were allowed to go into rooms and eat sweets, and it had even been instructed, have as many as you want. But when there was a mirror in the room, they all ate a lot less. They could probably, and this is even when they're in Halloween costumes, so they were anonymous, so they probably saw themselves and thought, oh, who's that greedy? Oh, it's me. Okay, so that's another really good tip. So there've been a few other things I've done as well that have definitely made a difference. The mirror, the doing the task and nothing, the monitoring, the weighing yourself every day, or checking a word count every day. Oh yeah, bright line. So a bright line, you have lines in the sand. A bright line is a line that you must not cross. So for example, one of my bright lines might be I'm not allowed to eat dessert, or I'm not allowed to drink alcohol, I'm not allowed to do anything, these things that people like to do, unless I've done this. So my done this is had certain conversations and done my 25 minutes of writing, and it's already started to make a difference. Even people have noticed I'm less grumpy. I feel better. I feel like I've had the most productive week I've had in ages. And even at work now, I don't know if this was from an idea directly from this book, I find if I just get in and focus on the task and do nothing else, the drudgery seems to be quicker. It's over sooner, It's not counting the hours and swearing the clock just went backwards or something. But really, this, in terms of books that have had easily implementable, useful strategies, this is the best thing I've read in ages. I mean, I didn't believe in willpower, and now I completely believe in willpower. One of the chapters in there talks about the self-esteem movement, where everybody was always told, oh, you're great, you're this, you're that, you're this. Oh, everything you do is wonderful. Oh, it doesn't matter that you fucked up continuously. You tried and everything. Anyway, the studies done in America about 20 years after it became popular have shown that that's just produced a bunch of narcissists and losers. Losers in terms of they always lose at the games they're playing themselves. They want a certain thing, they don't do it. Oh, it doesn't matter, I'm still wonderful. Oh, if you can't appreciate how brilliant I am, all you lecturers marking my papers, then you're just a fool because I'm wonderful. The one, there's actually an ethnic group in America which always, just about in every scenario, requiring skill and hard work, and in CEO level jobs, and in things like medicine and surgeries and all these very difficult to attain positions, even with a lower IQ, Eastern Asians, the Japanese, the Chinese, massively outperform their white and African counterparts, because the East Asian culture is very old and very strict, and they never got tied up in the self-esteem movement. So there was a story of a girl who had done very very well in her career, and when she said for college to her parents, she was Chinese, "Can you help me buy a cheap car so I can get around?" They said, "No, get into medical school and we'll buy you a brand new car." So they did, and it worked. And these people continuously outperformed. "Oh, I'm wonderful even though I'm 200 pounds overweight and thousands of pounds of debt and everything else, but I have self-esteem." Self-esteem, when it comes from achievement, is actually really good. There are studies in there. Let me show the difference as well. Self-esteem, when it's just, "Oh, you're perfect whatever you do," it's so stupid. The other thing I've implemented with my children, because discipline works, is, well, I've implemented this with my children. Just the one example. In the evening, on the hour, it's either 9, it's usually 9 p.m., they stop whatever they're doing and they tidy and they put things away for just 10 minutes. Yeah, I did that for 2 days, and now they do it unprompted. So it's miraculous. But I mean, that's just an overview. I'm going to read you a bit of the book now, the blurb and everything else, like I usually do. What's the secret of success? Brains, looks, connections. The real answer is willpower. Based on years of psychological research, this book shows how self-control is the most important factor in achieving what you want. Now you can discover the power in willpower. And then the reviews on the backs from Stephen J. Dubner, co-author of Freakonomics, phenomenally perceptive, ignore it at your peril. And then Daily Beast, don't know who that is. An instant classic, willpower can help people lead better lives, be better parents, stay organized, lose weight more wisely. A brilliant book. Yes, agreed. Daniel Gilbert, author of Stumbling on Happiness, sinfully, that's a nice word, sinfully delicious. Once you start reading, you won't be able to stop. So it's like tiramisu, it's sinfully delicious. Immensely rewarding, filled with wise advice and insightful reflection. Steven Pinker, I know who Steven Pinker is. Really good. I mean, I read it in 2 days. Unputdownable, not too heavy, easily communicated without being simple in terms of the cat sat on the mat, oh my god, I'm falling asleep, that kind of thing. Really, really good. Probably my favorite book of the last few months. We'll definitely read it again, because just from that one swift reading, I got all those tips which I've implemented with which have actually already made a difference. So there's got to be stuff in there I missed. They talk a lot about David Blaine in there as well, and the idea that maybe self-control, like most things, has a genetic basis. But then even if you've got the genetics, if you don't do the work, there's a quote in there that sums this up by St. Augustine, which is, God provides the wind, but man must set the sail. So, if you've got the genetics and you do the work, self-control, discipline, willpower, still don't like that word, then you'll go places. Okay? Really good book. Read it.